Darren Rovell for Cllct TV, and I'm here with Leo Sepkowitz of The Ringer, and we are talking about Top Shot. For the last, let's say, 4 years, Top Shot kind of became the NFT of the sports industry, got the early endorsement of the NBA, maybe too early, some would argue, and really had this. If you look at the Top Shot chart and how big it was. There was 2 months in, I believe, February and March of 2021, where it did $500 million in sales. And since, last 2 years, it's done about 65 million. So, Leo, it's about I think it's like the seventh or eighth most successful NFT of all time, which might surprise some people. But really, just whether it's being thrown in with crypto or whatever it is, uh, has not moved much. So my first question to you, I've covered this a ton, but my first question to you is it missing utility? Is it missing the first people think the first thought is uh, it's not enough. It for some reason it just seems like we're collecting highlights, and even if you serialize and digitize and make it limited edition, that's not good enough. Do you feel that in a way that there's some sort of disconnect with what the real product is versus should be?
Think that's definitely part of it. And thanks for having me on, Darren. You know, Today there are more ways to use your moments, your top shot, cards, if you will. On the platform, there's a game called Fast Break that's very popular. But really, I don't know if you could disconnect kind of where Top Shot is today with where it's been and sort of its whole story going back to 2021, as you said. I think, and in speaking with a lot of users for the piece I wrote, the rise probably did a lot of damage for Top Shot in the long run and hurting their reputation and really turning away ultimately a lot of people who might like the platform now had they come to it more organically, I guess. You know, it was so immensely popular and such a hit early on that it got connected also to being kind of just like a money making machine, an economic loophole almost that you could just sign on and make money while also engaging with these things. That today, to just as they try to be more connected to actually the use cases and actually the game of it all, uh, with its history in mind, yeah, it might just be not enough for a lot of people who, if they know of Top Shot, know of it as this place where you used to be able to make a lot of money and now you can't.
I always feel like when there's a quick money scheme, it's a scheme, right? And I don't know if anyone ever enjoyed Top Shot, right? So like I remember in 2021 when they were selling packs and it's like everyone was getting online. I don't know if they were enjoying it like they enjoy collecting cards. They were flipping it. And they were, it seemed like at the time the last one holding the bag. And for me, it's interesting that the NBA maybe didn't do more to say maybe this isn't what we think it is. I mean, I don't know if it's a negative on the NBA overall, but they did officially license it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's something I explored was kind of looking back, what was the degree to which the NBA promoted this, especially as prices were really high and obviously unsustainable. And what I found was the NBA they were just kind of hands off. They didn't get in the way and say, "Whoa, let's slow this thing down," nor did they say, all fans should be dumping their money in. They kind of just let it go. To your point about who was actually using it, it's really interesting. It can be hard to untangle now. I think, one user said to me something funny, which was making money was pretty essential to having a good time on the platform.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, that is definitely true. That's not to say though that the only people there were flippers. And I think talking to people who worked at Top Shot, including some people who are still there now, they just had a really hard time untangling and deciphering who are our users. We see these user numbers, but we don't know who's going to be with us in 6 months, and we don't know. what to do with this information basically, and it was all happening so fast.
And that's an essential problem with, the reporting of sales. Did
Mhm.
someone sell it to another anonymous wallet that they actually own? Are the sales actually happening, right? And that is a major issue because, part of this whole thing is the reporting of sales. And so the ease is there, but like who owns what wallet, and so it masquerades as transparent because it's frictionless and it goes from one to the other, but it's everything but.
Well, it's interesting with Top Shot in particular. What you just laid out is such a classic concern in any NFT market. Because Top Shot was working with the NBA, they wanted to do things differently. The NBA made them install identity verification, and Top Shot, rep there told me the NBA needed to know who was using their product. They couldn't just
But
have these
that's
sort
on
of
the back,
mystery
but
accounts.
that's on the back end, right? Me as a reporter, right?
Sure.
I think it's
I see. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's possible that, so I don't know if someone's trading it to their other wallet or under another name. And they're not motivated to tell me that.
Sure. I think early on there was more concern about that. As they started rolling in identity verification, it cut way back on that. But then the offshoot of them rolling in identity verification was you couldn't withdraw money until you got verified. And so money was stuck in the platform, and that really drove prices as much as anything, I think.
I always thought when I thought about utility, I thought about like it comes with there has to be more of a chase, right? So like there's a 23 of LeBron, and one of them you get to meet LeBron, or one of them comes with courtside seats, or so rare, and it's not that so rare is not successful. The soccer version of this, I think it did about 850 million in sales, but that relied on a game. That it would be a game, and you're telling me about this game that you could do now. Still, it's not utility. It doesn't seem to have anything. So my question on utility is
Hmm.
when people say, "Oh, it's just a highlight." Well, technically, a 1952 Mickey Mantle card is just a picture of Mickey Mantle, and you don't own that either. So the idea that, oh, you don't actually own that that highlight, you just own the version of that, might not be kind of the issue, but do you think there should have been more utility, or is this just something that's just it was a thing to do at the times of excess, and now it's not.
I think to have the strongest possible Top Shot product, they definitely should have gotten to utility faster. Granted, this happened really, really fast, and so it's hard to hold everything, against Dapper Labs, which founded Top Shot. But even they would definitely say, of course, we wish we had utility faster. We were just trying to roll this thing out and see where it went. Uh, but to your point about was this all about excess? I mean, the environment surrounding the launch of Top Shot is something that will probably never be recreated. And Top Shot's breakthrough is not really something that could be recreated, no matter how wonderful the utility is. It's the conversation is less now. How do we get back to the point of 250 million in sales, and it's all anybody's talking about, and every celebrity wants to jump in? Because I think that came and went. That was just a moment in time, and it's something I get to in the piece is what were sort of the factors surrounding Top Shot beyond just the highlight itself that made this jump the way it did. Um, but that's not to say they can't create a strong platform now and just kind of see where that goes and who has the tolerance now for digital collectibles.
Do you think that the rise of Bitcoin, and there's been a little dip here, but that
Mm.
the rise of Bitcoin follows, from the percentage gain of Bitcoin? Do you think crypto and Bitcoin and meme coins, do you think that's connected to this? That the people who are most likely to buy this stuff are all into that as well? Or do you think that that's not necessarily true because the whole thing is to hold those things so people aren't actually cashing out to give them the dollars to buy this?
Yeah. Um, I would definitely have grouped those things together and grouped them together when it happened in 2021. I mean, it's very much a cultural movement as well. Groups of people who, for one reason or another, maybe they're into the technology, maybe they're bored, maybe they want to strike it rich, are into really high volatile assets, whether it's Top Shot, GameStop stock was happening at the same time, whether it's Bitcoin. And obviously, at the heart of these things are different fundamental reasons to invest. But if you're just kind of a passive person who thinks, whoa, people are getting rich on this stuff, let me, see if I can throw my hat in the ring. I think that's a huge factor. And, we see now that these things are linked. Trump won and GameStop went up by 50%. What is that other than, culture sort of infusing into economics? And I think Top Shot could definitely benefit from that. Top Shot, mentioned to me that they had a legal case. I know you guys were looking at as well about whether moments were going to be a security or not. That ended up getting settled out of court. But now Roham, the CEO of Top Shot, is working with Congress to try to put in a bill that would make it so NFTs basically are never looked at as securities.
And I don't think that's how it ends. The question is, 5 years from now, if NFTs are still alive, is Top Shot still alive? What do you think?
I would say yes because they've got the official NBA deal. If that puts a lot of stake in that deal, if the NBA goes elsewhere and starts to sort of cut them out, I don't know what they're really holding on to at that point. But I think as
I
long as
mean,
they are the
the
official
issue is
NBA,
at doing 1.5 million a month,
mhm.
right? Like, literally they're grossing 15 million a year, 16, whatever it is, and the NBA doesn't have a lot of national licenses that probably are netting, you know, after everything, a couple $1 million. It doesn't fall. So I kind of wonder, what do we not know about the contract where there's some sort of catch at the bottom that they're going to be caught at this point. Uh, I to me, I don't really have much faith that there's anything left, and I think the NBA at some point is going to uh, want to get away from here.
It would be interesting if NFTs as an industry came sort of roaring back, if the NBA would be more inclined to do that then. Right now, I kind of feel like it's just a wait and see on the NFT industry in general.
Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. This is fun. Just a topic in the industry. I think NFTs are, we'll see what happens, and we'll see if they can get back. It is, if that chart of February and March of 2021 is just completely wild and crazy, and no matter what, it deserves to be covered.
That's right. And yesterday, actually, as the piece came out, Top Shot cleared 200K in trading for the first time in almost a year.
There
So,
you go, Leo.
maybe there's second life here.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you.